Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
God, long time no see. My apologies. I've been traveling.
As long as you enjoyed it.
Well, Rosh Hashanah, we enjoyed being in Florida, but then it was actually Yontif. The whole Yontif was Mondays.
Hello, Jeff. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Oh, let me.
Hi, Stephen. Did you miss that what was it, hurricane in Florida?
Yeah, we missed it because we were
enjoyed being in Florida.
just trying to get this noise down. Okay.
What's this?
I'm getting ads over there.
What's all this?
Welcome back, Rabbi.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Steve. Hello, Kent. Shalom Aleichem. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Rabbi.
Well, I was away for Rosh Hashanah, but then the whole month of Yom Tevim was a Monday. Monday was Yontif for 3-4 weeks. So,
Good to see you again.
So good to be back with you. I hope I'm glad you're still keeping the faith.
Some more than others.
Yeah. Okay. Well done. God bless you all. Okay. Everybody's okay, yeah. So what do you do when I'm not around? Do you follow Rabbi Gordon or the text? What's your favorite way of doing it?
Use the text.
Read the text.
Read the text. Okay. So Rabbi Yeshua B. Gordon, you see here, he does he has a video of it. He's my first cousin. We grew up together in New York. He was in New Jersey, and he was a rabbi in Los Angeles in the Valley, and he passed away in not too young, but he managed to record the whole Chumash, the whole Tanya, the whole Rambam, and he has thousands of students around the world. Even though he's already in heaven, so it's quite unbelievable. I'm in awe of what he's achieved. Okay,
I have watched some of his
Yeah.
stuff. It's very good.
Sorry to know he passed away.
hello guys. I'm just giving a share now. See you soon. My kids from Uruguay just arrived, and I'll have to see them later. Okay, so you say, Kent, you say you followed him sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very good.
He's great. He's got a great personality and a sense of humor, and he's got a big following. Okie dokes, here we go. So shluchim v'shutfin. Shluchim is agents or brokers or emissaries or representatives, whatever you want to call them. Shutfin is partners. So you've done a bit of this. Today we're talking about requiring a partner or an associate of one kind or another in a business to take an oath that they have not pilfered the cash register, that there's been no white-collar crime, which unfortunately is all too common. And he'll explain soon why it's even more common in these situations. So Hashutfin Kulon, all types of partners, sharecroppers. You know what a sharecropper is? Have you had that?
Yeah.
Let's say a guy
Yeah.
owns a field, but he doesn't want to work the field. So he gets someone else to do the work, the plowing and the planting and the reaping, and he gives him a percentage of the crop in return for doing the work. Guardians of orphans who are appointed by the court. So they are like executors of an estate. Guy died and left orphans, and we need somebody to look after them and their affairs and the father's estate. Or a woman who does business in the family home, or who was charged by her husband to serve as a shopkeeper or another member of the household, not necessarily a wife. But if any of the above, partners, sharecroppers, guardians of orphans, or the wife who's doing business, it could be the husband is suspicious of her, or maybe the children, maybe the husband died, and maybe it's a second wife, so the children are the heirs of the estate, and they're worried that their stepmother is got a hand in the till. So all of these cases, they are all required by rabbinic law to take an oath that they have not embezzled anything. And this is despite the fact that the claimants, the partners or whoever, or the children, do not have a certain specific claim against them. They're not saying what happened to that money that so-and-so paid into the account, or what happened to the mulberry crop, or this. You know, it's not as if they have a specific case or issue or part of the business that they suspect was pilfered. They're just nervous in general. They don't trust the person, and they're worried that they've been embezzling. So even if they don't have a specific defined claim by rabbinic law, they can still require them to take an oath that they're clean. Lest they may have stolen something from their colleague while performing business, or perhaps they were not exact when making a reckoning. Now, normally, you can't just go up to somebody and accuse them of being dishonest and make them take an oath. Say, well, what are you talking about? I don't know you. Leave me alone. You have no proof of anything. Don't bother me. Jump in the lake. Here, it's an exception. Normally, you have to have some kind of grounds to require an oath. An oath is not a simple matter. You're holding a Sefer Torah or something holy and taking an oath. People don't want to take an oath just because on somebody's whim. You have to have some kind of concrete grounds. Here, there are no concrete grounds. There is just a suspicion that the person has been dishonest. So why did the sages ordain this oath? It's unusual. And the answer is because in these cases of partners or sharecroppers or guardians of the orphan or the wife in the household or someone else in the household, because these people give themselves license. Why? Because they're partners or they're very close to the situation. They're family members or they're so. And they sometimes delude themselves dishonestly to thinking that they're entitled to more than they're entitled to. They give themselves license thinking that they are deserving of whatever they will take from the property of the owner, since they do business and work on his behalf. What are you talking about? Without me, he would have nothing. I deserve this. Therefore, the sages ordain that they are required to take an oath, despite the fact that the claimant does not have a specific concrete claim against them, so that they will perform all of these justly and in good faith. So the fact that they can be taken to task and called to the Beth Din and required to take an oath, hopefully this will keep them on the straight and narrow and they'll be honest in their business dealings. Now, there's a minimum amount that you have to sort of have some kind of concern about. So none of the above required to take an oath because of an indefinite claim until the plaintiff suspects him of taking a minimum of 2 silver pieces, as will be explained. If, however, they are taking less than this amount, an oath is not required. So that's it has to be significant at least. Don't just bother people and drive them crazy for petty cash. Number 3, based on this, says the Rambam, the Rambam's teachers ruled. We have a principle. We know who the Rambam's teachers were, and we know that he drew from 3 different main rabbis and teachers in writing his halachic work. So my teachers ruled, says the Rambam, that if one partner died, the heirs cannot compel their father's partners to take an oath concerning an indefinite claim. For they are not knowledgeable about their father's affairs. They do not know for certain that their father suspected the partner of wrongdoing, so that it can be said that the heirs suspect the partner of taking 2 silver ma. There are, however, others who rule that the heir may require him to take an oath, despite the fact that his claim is indefinite. He doesn't have a specific, concrete claim. And he says that Rambam agrees with this opinion. It's proper to rule in this manner, for we see that the heirs may require a widow who became a guardian during the lifetime of her husband to take an oath, and therefore these cases are similar to the widow. So here it's an interesting thing. He seems to be disagreeing with his own teachers, which many sages did. The Rashi had a grandson named Rabbeinu Tam, who was one of the authors of the Tosfos on the Talmud, and he often argues with his illustrious Zayde, Rashi. So Rabbeinu Tam was no small fellow, and he was. And when it comes to Torah, as much as we respect the sages, but we're entitled to ask good questions, and we're entitled to challenge, and we're entitled to disagree if we have logical Talmudic arguments. Not just to be a chutzpahnik and go fighting with someone of Rashi's caliber. But here the Rambam seems to be agreeing with others who disagreed with his own teachers. 4, although there are no witnesses that a person was his colleague, sharecropper, or partner, but rather he himself admits to this fact that I am his partner, sharecropper, or member of his household, but I never stole anything. I'm 100% honest. He must take an oath while holding a sacred article, a Sefer Torah, or a pair of tefillin or something. The reason is that we do not employ the principle of migo. Have you come across migo before? Migo is a Talmudic argument. Migo literally in Aramaic means because. So for example, let's say, let me give you a for instance. The principle of migo means that a person is freed from an obligation because there's another more acceptable claim available to him than the claim he makes. So basically we're saying if he was a liar, he could have told a better lie. The fact that he chose not to tell a better lie proves that he's not a liar. Or at least it's a logical argument to claim that he's not a liar. If I was a liar, I could have said, I never had any business with your father. I was not a sharecropper. Leave me alone. But he admits to being a sharecropper. And he says that he's honest and he didn't steal anything. So you might think that we should believe him on the grounds that he could have denied it. And the fact that he doesn't deny it makes him honest, and we shouldn't make him take an oath. Says the Rambam, no. We don't employ the principle of migo to free a person from the responsibility of taking an oath, but only to free him from a financial commitment. That's when the migo argument works, but not for an oath. Which member of the household can be required to take an oath because of an indefinite claim? One who brings workers in and leads workers out. Guy who's a bit of a manager, who brings produce in and produce out. But if a guy has he's just a bit of a gopher, he's not involved in the business affairs, he just comes and goes, he cannot be required to take an oath because of an indefinite claim. So again, if he's a small, hasn't really got a big position, we wouldn't bother him. Similarly, a guardian appointed by the father of orphans before his death. A guy's terminally ill, and he knows that his days are numbered, and he has children who are going to be orphaned, and he has an estate, so he himself appoints a guardian. If he does not appoint a guardian, and after he dies, the Beth Din of that community is obligated to appoint a guardian on his behalf following his death. But if during his lifetime he appointed a guardian to look after his children and his estate, so a guardian appointed by the father of orphans cannot be required by the orphans to take an oath because of an indefinite claim. They have no grounds. They're orphans or whatever age they are. There they have to have some kind of grounds. Because the fact that the father appointed him proves that the father did trust him. Otherwise, he would never appoint him. So if the father trusted him, who are you to come along and say you don't trust him? Unless you have grounds, you can't make him take an oath. Similarly, a woman who had not served as a guardian in her husband's lifetime and did not do business with the property of the estate after her husband's burial cannot be required to take an oath because of an indefinite claim. We'll explain in a minute. Similarly, if she did business with the property of the estate between her husband's death and burial, she is not required to take an oath regarding the transaction conducted in this period. For if she were required to take an oath, she would not sell any property in order to attend to his burial, to his funeral. And the deceased would become loathsome. The dead body of her husband would just be lying there and nobody would attend to his funeral. Why? Because if she knows, okay, let's say she doesn't have cash on hand. So the widow has to sell something that her husband owned in order to pay the Chevra Kadisha. Now, if she knows that the orphans, maybe it's her stepchildren, are going to come along and demand that she take an oath over the transaction she just made to attend to the burial of her husband, she's not going to do it. I'm not interested in taking oaths. So therefore, she's exempt from taking an oath if she made a transaction in order to pay for the burial, lest the deceased become loathsome and just lying there and unattended to, and he won't be buried. And they didn't have refrigerators in those days, so I don't have to tell you what happens. 5. When a person sends an article with a colleague to sell, so he makes him a shaliach, his agent, or sends money with him to purchase produce or merchandise for him, even though the principal did not pay the agent a wage, the agent does not own any portion of the merchandise or the right to benefit from it. Since he did business with his colleague's money, he's considered a member of the household. So it's actually strange because he's doing the guy a favor. He's not getting paid for it. Normally, if you do a guy a favor, you shouldn't be required to have to take an oath. But here, even though the principal is merely an indefinite claim, nothing concrete, the agent can be required to take an oath that he did not steal anything from him when he brought in the merchandise that he purchased, or a portion of it, or the money from the sale he conducted for him. Let me see if I have any notes on this. Yeah. From the Rambam's wording, it appears that an agent is certainly required to take an oath when he receives a wage. Then for sure, he's required to take an oath. You might think, however, that if he's doing it as a favor, you can't require him to take an oath. That would be logical. Because nobody will do a guy a favor anymore. If every time they're going to make me take an oath, forget it. Leave me alone. So therefore, the Rambam has to tell us that in such a case, we can actually require him to take an oath, even though he was not paid for it. When both partners are involved in the business of the partnership, or the one who is involved in the business entrusts the merchandise or a portion of it, or the funds belonging to the partnership, without weighing, measuring, or counting them, there is a doubt concerning both of them. Either one can require the other to take the oath required of a partner. If, however, only one of the partners does the business, the other is a silent partner, he's not involved in the day-to-day affairs, then only the former can be required to take the oath. Only the silent partner can require the active partner to take an oath. The active one cannot require the silent one to take an oath. He's not involved. You know the stories of the two partners who met in Miami on vacation. And the one says to the other, "Hey, Chaim, I didn't know you're also going. Who's minding the shop? Who's looking after the vault, the safe?" So Moshe says, What are you worried about, Chaim? We're both here." A bittere Gelächter, huh? Okay, 7. The above oath can be administered when the initial relationship is still current. They're still partners. If, however, the partners or the sharecroppers dissolved their relationship, or the woman was divorced, or the member of the household left, or the agent brought the principal the merchandise or the money from the merchant sold, and the principal remained silent without making a claim against the other party, and the other party departed, then the principal is not able to require that other party to take an oath because of an indefinite claim afterwards. So they've already dissolved their relationship. There's no more partnership. There's no more relationship, and they're gone. And now they come along. Hey, 2 months ago we did some business. I want you to take an oath. Can't do that. If, however, the principal has a definite claim against him, there is something concrete. What happened to those mulberries, or what happened to that parcel, or whatever it is? There's a definite claim. Then he can require him to take an oath, and also require him to take additional oaths concerning other things. So you cannot just make him take an oath on something indefinite once the partnership has been dissolved. But if there's a definite claim which will require an oath, even though they've dissolved the partnership, at that time, once there's a claim and an oath is required, he can then halachically require him to take an oath on something else that he would not be able to require ordinarily. You know what it's called in Hebrew? Have you learned this before? It's called Gilgul Shvua. A Gilgul. Gilgul means Gilgul can be used to mean other things. It can be a reincarnation of the soul. It's called the Gilgul. But it means it rolls over, so to speak. Like once you have a definite claim and an oath is required, you can roll it over to include also another claim, even if it's not definite. Similarly, if at a later time the other person is required to take an oath to the principal, whether by biblical law or rabbinic law, for example, he became a partner or member again, the principal can then require him to take an oath that he didn't steal anything during their present partnership or while he was his partner or guardian previously. 8, when partners have dissolved their partnership, but the partnership still owed debts by others, okay? There are still outstanding debts to this business from other debtors. The partnership has been dissolved. The partners cannot require each other to take an oath because of an indefinite claim, for they've already divided the partnership resources. If they ended the partnership, that means they divided 50-50, 60-40, whatever the deal was, the arrangement was. And now the only thing that remains is that there's outside debts from debtors. The debts that remain are not significant in this context, for they are matters of public knowledge, meaning basically the business has been dissolved already. So they can't come in. The fact that there are still debts outstanding from others does not mean that the business is still in existence. When any portion of the debt is repaid, they will each take their appropriate portion of the debt. If they're 50-50 partners, they'll each take 50%. Similar concepts apply if it has been made known that cash remains in the coffers of the partnership, but the partners have not taken their portion of that cash. Neither may require an oath of the other because cash is considered as if it is already divided, meaning there's X amount of money. We know that it's a 50-50 or 60-40 partnership. So we know that the 50% is mine, 50% is yours. There's nothing to discuss. Similarly, if a reckoning was made of the assets of the partnership possessed by all the partners, and it was determined that one partner was holding a specific and known entity belonging to another, okay, the business had maybe some machinery, and this guy has the machine in his backyard. It is considered as if the assets were divided, even though they had not taken it as of that time. I think it means that we assume that they had agreed on that, unless he has a specific claim that he took that without permission. If, however, any of the produce belonging to the partnership remained and it had not been divided or weighed, or any of the dimension of the partnership remained concerning which an accounting had not been made, and thus neither of them knew the extent of the portion that is due him because they hadn't yet made a cheshbon, they haven't yet made seen the balance sheet, the partnership is still considered viable. And either may require the other to take the oath mentioned above. Finally, number 9, when a person issues a claim against a colleague after the dissolution of a partnership, he cannot compel him to take an oath except through the convention of Gilgul Shvua, as explained above, where I said you roll it over. He may, however, have a ban of ostracism issued against anyone who stole from his colleague while he was his partner, sharecropper, or member of his household, and does not admit that he stole. So whilst he cannot force him to take an oath, he can ask the Beth Din to issue a ban of ostracism on this person because he was dishonest. Now, there's something called, I don't know if you've come across it, a Misha Pora. Have you heard that term, Misha Pora? Misha Pora is the opposite of a Misha Beirach. You go to shul, you get an aliyah, and the Gabbai or the Balkaida, whoever it is, makes a Misha Beirach. Misha Beirach Avesena, Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov, he who blessed our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, should now bless Chaim Yankel, the son of Beryl, who just was called to the Torah, and either he asks for a donation on the bimah or he doesn't ask for a donation, but the point is you get a blessing. Or if somebody's sick, God forbid, we have a Misha Beirach for a sick person, etc. The opposite is a Misha Pora. Not he who blessed Abraham and Isaac should bless you, but he who Pora, he who exacted retribution from the wicked generations of the generation of the flood in Noah's time, or other wicked generations, should exact retribution from such so-and-so who is behaving dishonestly now. That's called a Misha Pora, and the person is named by the Beth Din, and it's quite a heavy, it's like a curse. Like the Beth Din, like the rabbi is putting a curse on this guy. Nobody's looking to get such a curse. It's pretty heavy. So sometimes we learned it in my Gemara shir, we learned it not so long ago, where a guy has a claim, but he cannot prove it to the extent where he can actually extract the money from the other party. The Beth Din cannot rule absolutely that he must pay him the money, but it's clear that he did something unethical, but he sort of managed the legal loopholes. Through legal loopholes, he managed to get away with something, which is not really a nice thing. So we can't force him to pay, but we can issue a Misha Pora against him. So even though he's legally kosher, because he he played the game cleverly, and he hasn't done anything absolutely illegal, but his behavior is very, very loathsome and unimpressive and not nice. And the rabbis have the right to issue this Misha Pora, like this curse against him. We can't force you to pay, but we're going to issue this curse. When the guy hears that he's going to get a curse, he may pay up. Here, he speaks about a ban of ostracism. This is not as serious as the Misha Pora because the person's name is not mentioned. It's sort of left vague. But hopefully it will be sufficient to encourage the person to own up, either to take an oath that he was 100% honest, or to perhaps pay if he thinks he took some money which was not coming to him. Okay, quick quiz. Can heirs compel their father's partners to take an oath concerning an indefinite claim? Yes or no? Can't hear you.
I think no. No,
Wrong, they can.
wrong.
Let's look it up. You're confusing it with the other case.
Yeah, yeah.
Number 3. So he said, remember we said the Rambam disagreed with his teachers?
Yeah.
So in 3, he says his teachers ruled that they may not, but he agreed with the others who ruled that they may. Okay. If a person buys merchandise of someone else, can he take an oath regarding an indefinite claim?
Yes. Yes.
Can't hear you?
Yes, yes.
Even if he wasn't paid, he's doing the guy a favor? Correct. If one of the partners in the business was not involved in the running of the business, he's a silent partner. Can his partner, who's the active one, make him take an oath?
No.
No.
Correct. And finally, if 2 partners went their separate ways and later rejoined again in the partnership, can one partner force the other to take an oath regarding an again with the previous partnership?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because now they are partners again, so therefore he can evolve the oath to their previous partnership. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure doing business. I missed you guys,
Thanks,
and
Rabbi.
hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rabbi.
Shavua
Thank you,
tov.
Rabbi.
Have a good week.
Thank
Cheerio.
you.
Bye.
Cheers.